Welcome to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I am your host, Carmen McLeod, and I am here to talk to you about my passion for spirituality and personal development. My purpose in life at this time is to remind you how powerful you truly are and that you create your own reality. If the mind, the soul, and the universe are topics that interest you, and you want to continue to evolve into your soul's purpose, then you are in the right place. Thank you for joining me as I travel the world and record my journey through self-discovery. Hello everyone! Thank you for being here to listen to another episode of me talking. I hope to get another person on here one of these days, but for now you're just stuck with me and my voice. But like I said, I have a double-sided microphone now, so I will be bringing you more interviews to come. But for now, it's just me. And today I want to talk about full self-acceptance and how that is related to your relationships and coming from the source of your power as a woman. I've mentioned this before, is something that I learned at the Women's Weekend. And I can just give you a little tidbit from Justin's book. Justin Sterling is the one who created the Women's Weekend, and I just finished reading his book over the weekend, or last weekend, and I loved it. And it kind of recaps a lot of what goes on in the Women's Weekend, but I want to just read out one page that is really powerful and really useful, and it essentially just outlines how to really connect to the source of your power as a woman, how to come to that full self-acceptance, which ultimately leads to the source of your power and ultimately leads to healthy relationships in your life and with yourself and in the world, and it just makes you a powerful person, ready to just, attract powerful things, because that's inevitable when you have that. So all of this just from one page. I know be excited. It's a good one. So I will go ahead and read it, and then I will talk a little bit about how that relates to my life. So the page is called Discovering the Source of Your Power as a Woman. Think of a nearly perfect experience, anything you've been part of at some time during your adult life, which was or came very, very close to being ideal in every imaginable way. It may be a nearly perfect sexual experience, a nearly perfect parenting experience, a nearly perfect run along the beach or lazy Sunday afternoon, or handling of a challenge at work. Whether it lasted a few minutes or a few hours or a few days on end, for as long as it lasted, everything seemed to be in sync, flowing naturally, almost effortlessly. Visualize that experience as if you had recorded it on a videotape. Picture the events leading up to that experience. Envision yourself, the other people involved, your surroundings, all the sights and sounds and smells, in vivid detail. Run through the entire experience in your mind. Then run through it again, only this time stop the videotape at the moment you realize you were having a nearly perfect experience. That everything was somehow unfolding exactly as it was meant to. And I'm going to read that over again. That everything was somehow unfolding exactly as it was meant to unfold, and happening in precisely the way you wanted it to happen. How were you feeling at that moment? Powerful, light, beautiful, lovable, attractive, peaceful, feminine. Those are the words thousands of women just like you have used in the midst of their nearly perfect experience. They felt adventurous, courageous, playful, desirable, irresistible, open. Caught up in a moment that was ideal in almost every imaginable way, they were not looking for anyone else's approval. They were not questioning their own motives, doubting their own virtues, worrying about their deficiencies. They were not fretting over past mistakes or anticipating future problems. They were not trying to control the experience or afraid of losing control as a result of it, and they felt receptive, vulnerable, ready for anything, innocent, confident, electric. Coming from the source of your power as a woman, following an inner voice which spoke in a feminine tone. They felt trusting, passionate, magnetic, swept away, free. You have felt that way too. Like all women, you have experienced such self-acceptance. You can remember moments when you trusted yourself implicitly and totally. No matter how fleeting those moments have been, at those moments, the positive energy you emitted virtually guaranteed the positive energy to come back to you. At those moments, your natural self, free of contemporary influences and pressures, was in charge. And it was your natural self, your positive energy, your self-acceptance, and those feelings of peace, power, passion, and much more, which you must bring to your relationship, rather than looking to your relationship to find those things. So, that's the page, or about page and a half. And it is very powerful, and I'm gonna just let you guys pause when you need to think, because it's probably a good idea to pause and maybe even listen to that page over again if you didn't get a chance to really think about an example while you're hearing it. And so you can just do that whenever. But yeah, try to think of an example for yourself, because I can almost guarantee that you've experienced something like this. And you don't really realize that how powerful it is until you hear this wisdom on it, which is that you were really connecting to the source of your power as a woman. Women are divine specimens. And I really, really have learned a lot about this lately, about just how divine we really are and how powerful we are, how dynamic and ever-changing and evolving we are. It's just unbelievable. And it's so crazy, because this is, thinking about all of these things, I'm sure you can probably agree. But at the same time, don't you know how, you also can agree that basically all women have such low self-esteem and are not in their full self-acceptance. I know very few women who have full self-acceptance. I feel very blessed that I have a role model like my mom, who, just from my witnessing her over my life, it seems as if she has full self-acceptance. I think she does now, and I'm sure she's mentioned this. I think she does now for sure. I think she has for a long time. But from what I've witnessed from her only, not just from what her words have been, I've witnessed her have full self-acceptance. And that's probably why it's been a lot easier for me to find that in myself. But only over the last few months have I really, really realized how I have full self-acceptance, or how I have come to find that self-acceptance. And I think that it just came from, one, it was, I think that I was on the fast track to finding this as soon as I graduated, because I had no more distractions. And I've been able to really focus on what lights me up. And I have been filling my life and all my time with just things that I want to do and things that I love, that make me feel good, and that I have time to be generous and time to focus on myself, to focus on the ones I love. I feel like I'm on kind of a fast track because of all of this. I don't have the distractions that many people have. And so I feel really blessed for that. But reading this page, I thought of a time where I felt that full self-acceptance. And so I'll talk a little bit about it. I mean, I've felt this, I feel like, kind of nonstop for the last few months, ever since I started traveling. But the example I'm going to give is actually not from my travels. It's actually from a few weeks ago. No, last weekend. I was on the island, like I said, on Vancouver Island, and I decided, I went over there by myself. I usually go by myself and, just kind of chill at the beach all the time, because I really just love, I love just hanging out at the beach even by myself. I love it by myself, actually. I've become very in love with my own presence, to be honest. When it's just even if I don't have someone to come with me, I kind of almost prefer it sometimes. So that's why, so anyways, I went to the beach and spent the day there. I even did a little bit of mushrooms, and not like a full trip, but just like a like a half trip. So it kind of didn't really do that much to me. It was just kind of like, why not? I'm spending the day at the beach. Like, I just want to enhance it, get some, it might make my meditations a little bit more in depth, and, I was like, why not? I also wanted to do some before I go back traveling, because it's kind of, you don't know what you can find out there. And, I'm like, I might not get to do it for like a year. So anyways, I don't actually think that it's because of the mushrooms that I felt this way. I feel like because I barely even felt them, but it definitely probably enhanced it. But I just remember that day just sitting at the beach, and this beach is so special to me too. I've been going to this beach my entire life, and it's actually it's like a private beach that's on a kind of retirement home / trailer park thing. It's like a fancy trailer park where old people kind of live. My grandparents used to live there, and now my aunt and uncle live there, so I go visit them there. So that beach I've been going to my entire life, and so I felt like it's a very spiritual place for me, and I was able to spend the whole day at that beach, and I just felt so content with life, just watching the water and just being in my own presence, listening to my favorite music, and it was a nearly perfect experience, if not a perfect experience. I couldn't think of anything that I would have changed in that moment, and so I think that this time, I think this was this before or after I read this page of the book? I'm not sure, but I don't remember well. Like, at this moment in time, I was not thinking about this page of the book. I may had already read it a few days before, or I may have read it the next day. I can't remember. It was this weekend that I read the book, so who knows. But when I read when I read this page, I go back to that moment where I just felt like I was in full self-acceptance, and just almost in tears just by how happy I am, and how thankful I am to be who I am, and all of this. I felt powerful, light, beautiful, lovable, attractive, peaceful, feminine, all of these words that he describes in the book. And I really just knew that I was on the right path, and so thankful that I really enjoy my own presence. And I think the reason I enjoy my own presence so much is because I've come also to this level of self-acceptance, and it's still a journey, because it's not like, I think I'm going to continue to be working on my self-acceptance throughout my whole life, because I'm not sure if I have 100% self-acceptance. Probably not. I'm sure there's definitely things I need to work on, but actually there is definitely things I need to work on. I know that. And even the things about myself that I know are not necessarily good things. Like, there are downsides to my personality. There are things that I would change, or not necessarily that I would change, actually, just things that are not, obviously everybody has their flaws, right? But here's the thing about self-acceptance that I've come to learn is it's not about, loving everything about yourself. It's just about accepting everything about yourself, all the good, all the bad, accepting all that you are and all that you are not. And once you can acknowledge that, and even make a list if it's helpful, like I made a little list here, I'll read it to you, it's a short one, but just of all that you are, all that you are not, and even if you want to take it to the next level after you write that, and I think I'll do this afterwards, with my list, but write out the list, all that you are, all that you are not, and if you want to say a mantra to it, I'm just thinking of this now, this is a good idea, I heard this in a different book, but there's a saying, a Hawaiian saying, I believe, called ho'oponopono, which is, thank you, I love you, I'm sorry, I forgive you. And that's just something that you could say to all of these parts of yourself that you are and are not. It's just an idea. When I heard this one, I've heard this ho'oponopono a few times in different books and different things. But the one that I last heard it on was recently. It was on a book about like money blocks, and like a good way to cure your money blocks is to kind of, identify them, figure out where they're coming up in your life, and then just, forgive them by saying this mantra. Anyways, you don't have to do all that if you don't feel called to, but that's just a suggestion. But anyways, I've come to realize that full self-acceptance is just really accepting who you are and who you are not, and just loving yourself regardless of anything that you used to hate in the past, and just loving that part of yourself because it makes you who you are. And that's freaking amazing, right? So what I am is, I am weird, unpredictable, stubborn, always right, or should I say, I always think I am right, and I always think I know better. I am also free-spirited, fun, happy, driven, and abundant. I see the good sides of myself, and I see the downsides, and I love all of those things. I am not free of comparison. I am not perfect. I do not have big boobs or $1 million yet. That's all that I am not, and I'm sure I am not a million other things, but I love all of those things about myself because I love myself. I love that I am imperfect, and I don't want to be perfect, and I'm excited to just keep living a life where I feel this way, and I'm excited to keep just spreading the message of self-acceptance because it's huge, and I've learned so much about it lately, and I hope that I can find some way to help other people find that self-acceptance because it's huge. I think that that's just where everything stems from, is the relationship you have with yourself is just the number one, it's key, it's the foundation of life, and when it comes to, relationships, how it says in the end of the paragraph that I read you, your self-acceptance and those feelings of peace, power, passion, and much more, which is what you must bring to your relationship rather than looking to your relationship to find those things. So I think that was super powerful because I used to do that. In my past relationships, I have looked to those relationships for meaning in my life, or not meaning necessarily, but to complete me and to make me feel happy and feel full and all of that. Of course I was a teenager at those times, so, it's to be expected. But, even as an adult, a lot of people will tend to look for relationships to kind of solve their internal problems or external problems. And I think that I really agree with Justin in his book where, he talks about that you must cultivate that within yourself and bring it to your relationship, and that is how you have a powerful and strong relationship. It's just like how, the very cliche thing that people say is you can't love another until you learn to love yourself. You can't be ready to be in a relationship until you have a strong relationship with yourself. It's just like kind of the same thing. And there's a reason that people say it so much, because it's really hard to have a successful relationship when you are building it on a faulty foundation. Your foundation will not be strong if you don't love yourself and do not accept yourself fully. And when you accept yourself fully, you're not going to need that relationship. It's just going to be a bonus. It's just going to add to your happiness. So another thing he mentions later in the book is never be in a relationship to make you happy, only to make you happier. If you bring your happiness to the relationship, it will make you happier. So here's what I would love. This would be really fun. If I would love to hear the times where any of you felt like you have experienced this connecting to the source of your power. I love to hear these kind of stories, so I would love it if you would let me know. Either send me a message or like a voice message or something, or even better, you could write it on a review, that would be really cool. I've realized I haven't really asked anyone for reviews, and I've kind of, I probably should, because I know how beneficial that is to people's podcasts. So I just kind of keep forgetting. I'm just enjoying it regardless, but I think, if you are really enjoying this, but I would love it if you would leave me a review. And even in that review, you could write, like, I'll see it, so you could write, like, what you could even write your little story in here about your self-acceptance or anything that you want. But I would love to, if not, I would love to just hear the story from you. You can message me on Instagram or anything. Post this on your story on Instagram or on Facebook or wherever. Spread the word, because I would love to hear more and more stories like this, and I'd love to connect with more women who are on that same frequency and who are just digging what I have to say about this stuff, because this is just what lights me up. And so I would love to hear more examples like this and just hear about how all of you guys are kicking ass and just connecting to the source of your power as a woman, because you are the most powerful thing in the world. And so let me know, and if you got anything from this episode or any past episodes, I would really appreciate it if you left me a review on iTunes, or I don't know if you can do that on Spotify or any of the other ones, but I think you can leave at least a couple stars on, you can leave the stars on Spotify, and maybe you can write a message on iTunes. I'm not sure how it goes, but yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.